Hey, it's Danny Tato, and welcome to a tutorial of Dwarf Fortress. This is the Steam edition. Uh, Basically, what we're doing here is we're going to assume that you have no idea what you're doing. You've just maybe bought it, or maybe you're thinking about buying it, and you want to know, is this game for you? How do I do the most basic things in the world? What is the goal here? Things like that. So, first thing I'll say is Dwarf Fortress is a simulation. So, what it does is it creates a world, as you can see by the green button on my screen here, create new world. And it simulates every single person, in fact, every single like body part of each person in this world. And the goal, obviously, for many people is completely different. It is the true sandbox. So you're either trying to, build something specific, like a mega project, like a crazy pyramid with lava moats and all kinds of crazy stuff like that. Or maybe you're just trying to like try out a new feature, like I'm going to build only on the surface, like a town that is only on the surface, which is very undwarf like, right? Dwarves want to be underground. The assumption we're going to make here is that you are trying out Dwarf Fortress for the first time. You don't really know what to do, but you just want to kind of like live for a little while. You want to survive. You want to make it to where, maybe 1 year, 2 years in, you're still, kicking pretty good. You got a nice number of dwarves. You got some industry going, things like that. And that's kind of the goal I think we're going to focus on here. That doesn't mean it has to be your goal. This is truly, this game has adopted and really made popular the idea of like losing is fun. So it's okay to fail. It's okay to try something new and just have it be horrible. So we're going to focus on the idea that you just want to survive a little bit. So we're going to talk about some strategies, some things that can help you kind of get there. So first thing you're going to want to do is you load up Dwarf Fortress and create a new world. Now, I'm going to talk about a couple things here. First of all, the DF hack here. I highly recommend you get DF hack. It is a tool that even before Dwarf Fortress was on Steam, when it was a sort of standalone game, it was such an essential tool to kind of just make some things a little bit more user friendly, a little bit easier, a little bit simpler, a lot of like quality of life features, and that has sort of translated over now to the Steam version. So I highly recommend you go look up DF hack and kind of just get it downloaded. I'm gonna try to not use it too much, but there's some times where it's just inevitable. It's just so much easier. So if you really want to really follow this guide a little bit, definitely get DF hack, because I am going to use it at certain times. So pause here, go get it, and then kind of resume. So what we're going to do here is we're going to create a new world. So we're going to click on that. It gives us a little introduction here. We don't need to worry about that. I'm going to start with a small world. Obviously the bigger the world and the longer the history, that's just going to be more kind of like, more time before you can actually go play. So I'm going to do small, 100 years. Everything else I'm going to leave the same. I'm not going to change anything else. Let's just keep it the same and go from there. So we're going to create our world, let it kind of load up. And as it's doing this, it's just building a whole new world for us. It's building, all the races, all the people, everything. And now it's going to go ahead and start. We're going to watch it sort of populate. Looks like we have one main continent and then some little islandy archipelagos here. It's going to run. You can see here it's 77, 78, 80. And once it gets to, I believe I set it to 100, it should pause and be like, all right, this is the world that you have set up. And there we go. All right, so we're going to, if there's something you didn't like about this, you didn't like the way it went, you could totally just go back to your main menu, delete the world, and redo it. But we're going to go ahead and keep it. We're just going to assume it's fine. And we're going to hit play now. So it's going to load everything into the world. And then our focus here is going to be, we're going to play Fortress mode. There's Legends mode, which lets you kind of really delve into your world. It's something you should definitely look into at some point. For now, let's just focus on Fortress mode. And we'll go from there. It's going to run for 2 weeks. I'm going to hit skip tutorial, even though it still is going to give us a whole bunch of messages as we play. That's fine. And this is our world. Here we are. This is, do we have the name of the world? I don't think I can see it. I probably missed it on the last menu, but that's fine. So what we're going to do is we're going to hit choose origin civilization. And in this world, we have made two dwarven civilizations. Now that is totally randomized. It kind of depends. I think the last one I had 4, so you could have any number. What you want to do is you want to click on one, and you can see here everything outlined in blue is going to be one of the sites in this dwarven civilization. In this case, the Furious Salves. Again, randomly generated name. These are all the sites that they have, mostly focused on this sort of mountain range right here. If we click on the Ship of Speech, we'll see that it's a little bit more to the east over here, and elongated. And we can also see some features down here. So the population about 1,500, number of sites about 22, and then you can see the name of the queen here. If you go over here, you can see they also have a queen. They have about 1,300 people, over 17 sites. So fewer sites, but more people. Pretty interesting. You can kind of pick the one you want. I mean, these are almost all in the same spot, so doesn't really matter. Sometimes I just pick based on the name of the civilization. I'm going to go with the Ship of Speech. I like it. Sounds good. And I'm just going to click choose origin civilization one more time. And then we're going to find our embark location. If you click on that button down here, you can sort of search for what you want here. Okay. One thing I definitely recommend, and again, if you're starting out, it's up to you. There's so much. I'm going to say this a million times. Basically, do what you want, right? Like what I'm going to do is not the best thing. It's not the right way to play, but I'm going to show you kind of like a simpler version of playing. So number one, I would get rid of your aquifers. Okay, aquifers are basically infinite sources of water, and you have to kind of figure out your way to dig through them so they don't completely flood your fort and just like ruin your game, right? But if you just set it to no, you don't have to worry about that. So we're going to do that. We're also going to make sure we have a flux-stone layer, and you can go through each individual kind of ore here and set which ones you want. I'm not going to worry about that. I'm just going to make sure we have a flux-stone layer, we have no aquifers, and that's basically it. So I'm going to hit begin, let it search through all the maps. Anything green is going to be an area where it matches the criteria we set over here. So you can see we have a nice little area right down here in sort of like the equatorial region, a little bit on the south too, which is cool. And that's basically it. Okay, so let's go ahead and just like click right in the middle here, and we can see any green square or rectangle, depending on the map size you set, is going to be an area where we can go ahead and start based on what we set here. So I'm going to click embark, and then I'm going to highlight just right over here, see what we got here. I want to get rid of this menu here. Hold on. All right, here we go. So if you right click it, it'll clear that menu, and wherever you place your mouse is gonna, on the right side here, you're gonna see it change. Okay, so I'm gonna put it right over here where it's gonna see. So it says it's temperate shrubland, it's temperate temperature. The trees are woodland, so that means there's like a good amount of trees. It's not like sparse or anything like that. You're gonna have a good amount of wood. Wood is really important early on for most forts. Other vegetation moderate, so there's some other plants growing around, and then the surroundings are wilderness, which is like it's like moderate. You know, I don't want to say difficulty, but like yeah, there are some creatures that have come around and might mess your stuff up. So there's that. We can do this river area over here too. Again, you can see now the trees are sparse, so less wood as a start. But there is a river which can be helpful. There's a road here, an area that's on a road. Temperate woodland, moderate wilderness, called the Moral Path is the name of the road. I think I'm just going to go with this one up here. I'm fine with it. You can also see I have iron, gold, silver, copper, nickel, zinc, platinum, tin, lead, and a flux-stone layer. Flux-stone is important if you want to make steel, if you were wondering about that. It also lists some of your neighbors. So we can see we have elves just to the northeast, about half a day's travel. Some humans, half a day's travel south, and some goblins, which we are hostile with. So we're inherently kind of like at war with them, or kind of at strife with them. And they're a short trip northeast. So probably somewhere over here or over here. So if we don't like that, we could always move away from them. But that's fine. Goblins are always a problem. Nothing crazy. So we're going to click here. We're going to hit confirm. And now we're going to get into our embark screen. So what you can do is you can hit play now. It's going to set default skills, equipment, and animals, and that's fine. What I recommend you do, at some point when you get a little more familiar with what works and what doesn't, you prepare carefully, and then you save it, and you kind of name it. So I have 2 here that I've saved, 2 embark profiles that I've saved. One is, I called like probably good, because I set it up, and I was like, this is probably good. And then one that's probably good, but then I modified one of the dwarves to have some military skills. Okay. Again, you're totally fine hitting just play now. I'm gonna hit my probably good. I don't think it's a whole bunch of a difference. I think my dwarves are pretty default, but like the items I brought and things like that are a little bit different. So let's talk about that. So I'm gonna hit probably good. And you can see here, based on the civilization that was created and the world that was created, and sort of where they occupy the world that you have created, you may have some things not available. In this case, there's no cherry wood available. Now, not that there's no barrels, just there's no cherry wood. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go here and I'm going to have to pick some barrels that are not cherry wood and add them. So we're going to right click, and you can see our dwarves here. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 dwarves set up here. I have 2 miners, I have 2 planters, I have a farmer, a mason, and a woodworker. Now that's their like most prevalent skills. You can look through. There's a few different skills they have. Like for example, one of them is definitely set up to be like the leader of the pack. One is set up to be have a couple medical skills, so they can like diagnose and do surgery and things like that. One of them set up to do trade, and a few extra things. But their main sort of job is sort of how they're named here, and that's totally fine. Now you can also pick your items, and I have a few things set up here. So we have some cloth, we have some plump helmets, which are mushrooms. Now the spawn is sort of like seeds for the mushrooms, right? So we can plant those into the ground. We also have 50 pigtail seeds as well. Pigtails are used mostly for like a clothing industry. We'll set that up, I'm sure, a few videos in, but for now, just know we have them. An anvil is useful when you set up our industry. We have some battle axes, which are set up for, of course, fighting. But also the battle axes, if I'm not mistaken, I don't think there's any other type. Yeah, the battle axes will also chop wood for you. So we have 2 of those, just so we have a couple people that can chop some wood for us early on. We also have a warhammer, again, only meant for war. We have 3 copper picks meant for mining. We have some ale, rum, and beer. Now, one thing you need to know about your dwarves is they do not need water. They need alcohol, okay? So dwarves have to have alcohol, so you got to carry some alcohol with you. Now, the nice thing about the plump helmets that we have is if we plant those, grow them, and harvest them, we can then turn them into plump helmet wine, which we'll talk about pretty soon. But that is like an essential thing. One of the biggest mistakes you'll make is, whether you're a seasoned player or not, is you're going to forget to make a still, forget to make that wine, and you're going to run out of alcohol, and all of a sudden everyone's going crazy and dying. So yeah, that's one of those like nuances of the game. We have some food, so some horse tripe, some yak meat. Again, that's fairly randomized. I kind of just picked those things to be the things we take. They're only worth 2 points. But yeah, there's that. We have some cave lobster, which is a fish that we can take and we can cook. We have 15 actual plump helmets, so we can kind of start getting the alcohol going right away. We can also eat these, which is why they're super versatile. So there's that. We have 15 of those. We have 1 cage, some pigtail bags. So bags made of pigtail. Again, pigtail can turn into cloth, so it's like a cloth bag. Some thread, some ropes, a couple of buckets, 2 splints, 2 crutches, in case, anyone breaks a leg. I'm sure nothing bad will happen. A stepladder. I take a stepladder because sometimes, at least early on, dwarves get stuck in trees, and stepladders were the only way to get them out of that, or at least one of the ways. So I always grabbed one of those. I don't think you need to take that anymore. I think that's mostly been solved, but I still have it. And again, I made this profile kind of early on. And then a couple of wheelbarrows just to start us from. Wheelbarrows sort of lighten the load of anything that the dwarves are carrying. It makes them move them faster, so some of the heavy things can go faster. Again, a wood one's not the best. We could probably make some out of some metals, hopefully pretty soon. But that's basically what I have. So what I need to do is, because you'll remember earlier it said we didn't have cherry wood barrels. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to type, actually in leather that won't work. I need to go down to, and find barrels. Backpacks. Did I miss it? Barrels, right there. And we're just going to, this shows you what's available. So you can notice there's no cherry wood here. So we'll just grab kind of the cheapest one. They're all worth 10. So we'll just grab a couple applewood ones. And once you hit it once, it should pop up over here under barrels, our applewood barrels here. And we have 20 points left. These are 10 points, so we must have had 3. So I'm just going to go ahead and click it so we use all our points. And there we go. The last thing you get to choose is your animals. I always choose a pair of dogs. a breeding pair of cats, and then some pigs here. So, one male, two females. Pigs are, I think, kind of like the meta for a good creature starting off with. They're low maintenance. They don't need to graze, so you don't need a pasture for them, so they can like live in your fortress underground. They give plenty of meat, bones, whatnot. So they're a good starting group of animal you can pick. You can always go with something else, anything you want. Oftentimes, I will have creatures for an egg industry. So something like where are they? I'm gonna forget what they're called. The turkeys over here. They're good, or the peacocks are a good kind of starting off point for an egg industry. I'm not going to do that again. When the eggs hatch, there's a ton of pulse and stuff like that, and it can create some like FPS problems. So I'm just going to skip that for now. Again, this uses all of our points. So we've got breeding pair of dogs, breeding pair of cats, and then one male and two female pigs. We got a whole bunch of items I went through already, and then our 7 dwarfs. So we're going to hit embark. If you want to, by the way, you can change the name of the fortress, the group name, the group symbol. Problems will highlight anything kind of going on. Again, I can see, okay, no cherry wood barrels, so I can go back and change that. I already did. You can save the profile once you've created it. So you've like set everything up, hit save profile, name it. We have already done that. We're going to worry about that. I'm going to hit embark, and it's going to start right now. All right, so it says, a dwarven outpost. You have arrived. After a journey from the mountain homes into the forbidding wilderness beyond, your harsh trek has finally ended. Your party of seven is to make an outpost for the glory of all Zuglar Am. That's the name of our civilization. There are almost no supplies left, but with stout labor comes sustenance. Whether by bolt, plow, or hook, provide for your dwarves. You are expecting a supply caravan just before winter entombs you, but it is spring now. Enough time to delve secure lodgings ere the dingoes get hungry. So possibly dingoes are in the area. I mean, it's not really. We'll check on this in a second and see what's around. A new chapter of Dwarven history begins here at this place, Aranast. Sculpted Sabers. Strike the earth. So our name of our fortress is Sculpted Sabers, if you translate it from the Dwarvish Aranast. And it tells us how to strike the earth. So I'm going to hit OK. So it starts off paused right away. We're actually pretty zoomed in. What I'm going to do is I'm going to hold control here and then mouse wheel back. So mouse wheel down. I'm going to zoom out just a couple of levels here. Oops, I zoomed in. Or scroll down. All right, so a few things to look at. So we can see the name of our outpost here right now in Dwarvish, and then our actual translated name, so Aranast, and then Sculpted Sabers. And then it says outpost. That is sort of where you start. You only have 7 guys. They just dropped a caravan here and getting started. It's just an outpost. Eventually, as you get more dwarves who join, migrate in, or are born in your fortress, you're going to sort of grow this outpost into different levels for the dwarven civilization. You can see your population up here. We have 7 total dwarves, obviously. That's what we start with. And then you can see their happiness level. So anywhere from, super happy, content, okay, not so great, upset, so on and so forth. So you're going to watch this as you go. It's something you want to watch, because if everyone starts getting upset, you can kind of have a spiral where these guys are having tantrums, they're punching stuff, beating up each other, destroying things, and it just sort of cascades in this horrible sort of mess where you can't get anything done because everyone's just pissed off or super upset. We can see our stocks over here on the next section here. So we have our food. Again, we have our little tilde here, which means sort of about, because we haven't set up someone who is actually going to go check our stocks and count everything that we have. We will set that up, pretty soon. But for now, we have sort of an estimation of what we have. So 80 food, 70 drinks, 100 seeds, some meat, some fish, some plants, so on and so forth. And then it tells us sort of what date it is. So it's the 15th of the month Granite. It's early spring, and we're in the year 100. Again, we set our world to be about 100 years old. So there we go. So that's the top part. We have our map over here. On the bottom left over here, we have a few different sort of menus we can look at. Again, these are mostly setting sort of like job priorities, seeing who's doing what, setting our nobles, things like that. And then the middle section over here is where we actually will click on the tools that will enable us to sort of set up jobs in the world. Now, something you need to know about Dwarf Fortress is you have different elevations. So we're looking at elevation 46. And you can see this mini map. We have a large sort of valley here, and then this grayish area here is going to be like mountain. Okay, it's a level higher. So if I go ahead and zoom up, go up one level, you can see we can still see our wagon here, but it's sort of like one level below. And now we've moved up. We can see the top of the mountain up here. And this mountain is only, it looks like one level up. If we go up another one, I don't think there's going to, you're going to see the trees kind of going up, but that's it. If we go down, you'll notice that we really don't know anything about what's below us, okay? Because we haven't dug down there yet. And that's kind of the goal is most, you can do anything you want. You can build a settlement up on top on the surface if you want. But really, Dwarf Fortress, if you're playing as dwarves, you're playing vanilla, what you really want to do is you want to delve below the surface level and set up your fortress down there. That's really the true like dwarven way, right? So a few things we have to do right off the bat. Now, number one is you really want to kickstart your industry. You want to get some wood, right? It's the basic kind of thing. You need logs to kind of set up any sort of basic industry. Now, from there, we're going to rely more on stone. But for now, we definitely need wood. So if we go down here, we can see that we can set tree chopping orders down here with the second button down here with the axe and the log. So we're going to click on that, and I'm just going to drag kind of a big area and just chop down a bunch of trees, okay? Just kind of on this level. Make sure you're on the level that you embarked upon, right? So I was on 46, I'm on 46, and I'm going to chop down these trees. If I was up a level, it might not really work the right way we want it to. We want to chop down these trees at the base, right? I'm going to go ahead and get this one too. And you can see the little axes on all the trees that we set to chop down, right? Before I do anything else, I'm going to do a couple other things. So number one is, you remember when we embarked, we had a few animals with us. Now, none of those animals that we picked needed to be in a pasture, right? Those are animals that can just roam around and they don't really need food. They just kind of eat. It's simulated, right, that they eat. However, when we brought this wagon, we had to bring a couple of animals with us to pull the wagon. So what we're going to do is we're going to set a zone. I'm going to clear through the tutorial messages because I am the tutorial, right? And what we're going to do is we're going to find the pen/pasture area. And you can see it says, the tooltip says, certain livestock need to graze on grass. Assign these animals to a pasture zone. No fencing is needed. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to set up kind of a big area. So I'm just going to kind of click some random spot, just drag out and click. And we've now set our pen pasture. We're going to hit accept. And now it's going to say, all right, who do you want in this pen and pasture? Now we can click here. If you're on totally vanilla, you're going to click here and you're going to pick what you need. Now, dogs, cats, and the pigs do not need to go there. Okay, the nice thing about them is they don't graze. They don't have to be in a pasture. They can just exist running around your whole fort. Okay, the yak and the horse, which is randomly generated, it might be, you might have different versions. You might have camels. You might have all kinds of random stuff. If you're lucky, you get a breeding pair, right? Like a male and a female of the same species. I don't have that. I've got a bull and then a horse. One's male, one's female. They're not going to breed, but I have them. I might as well keep them healthy in case I run out of food and I need to butcher one of them, or I need bones or whatever it may be. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick these two. Now, before I do that, I'm going to go ahead and get out of this menu. I'm going to go back to my, zones? Yeah, my zone menu. And I'll tell you if you were smart and you installed DF hack like I told you to, okay? What you can do here is you can click on the DF hack assigned, and what's much easier is you go over here to where it says grazers, and you just set only grazers. Only show me the things that have to graze, and it lists them right here, okay? And then with Control A, you can see down here it says assign all. Click here, now they are assigned, and I can just get out of this menu, okay? So when I play time right now, what you're going to see is you're going to see some dwarves going and starting to chop down these trees, and some dwarves grabbing the horse over here and the yak over here and put them into the pasture zone. Now, right now my world is completely covered in snow. It is spring, but it's like the first day of spring, so winter just ended. It's going to take a couple days, maybe a couple hours for the snow to melt and for us to see everything. But there is some grass here. They are going to be able to graze on it, okay? So there's that. The last thing I'm going to do here before I start time is I'm going to start digging into the lower levels so I can start setting my fortress. So I'm going to hit the set digging orders button right here. The hotkey is M. Click on that. And what I want to do is I want to dig a channel. Now, you can dig stairs, and that's totally fine. However, eventually, when your fortress gets big enough, your parent civilization is going to send you wagons for traders to kind of store all their goods. They're going to come into your trade depot with wagons. If you have stairs, wagons cannot go downstairs. So what you want to do is you really want to set a channel. A channel is kind of like a ramp, and it's a ramp that goes down. Now, wagons can access channels. So we're going to kind of just go with that kind of idea. That we want to dig a ramp down instead of stairs. So I'm going to click on the channel button, and I'm going to make sure it's 3 wide, because as you'll notice down here, our wagon is 3 tiles wide. So I want to make sure it's 3 tiles wide so they can kind of ramp their way down into the next level. And what you're going to notice is as they dig this out on the lower level, these 3 squares right here are going to kind of appear because we now know what is down there. Okay, so this is more of a ramp. Stairs would be a staircase. Again, a wagon with wheels totally can't go down some stairs, right? So that's the idea, okay? So I'm going to clear out of that. I'm going to go ahead and hit spacebar so that our time is going to start passing. And you're going to watch a couple of things. Number one, I want you to see our dwarves start chopping down trees. A couple of dwarves grab the horse and the yak and put them in the pasture zone. And then some dwarves starting to dig out this area right here. Now, before I actually do that, I want to show you one more thing, and I promise I'm going to let things go. What you want to look at here is the labor menu. Again, the hotkey is Y. But if you click on right here, you're going to see a whole bunch of default labors that are set up. So, for example, we have miners here. We have 2 guys, 2 dwarves, I should say, that are miners. Okay, one is competent, one is adequate. That is based on your embark screen, what you set up with the skills for each dwarf. In this case, I have one that's competent, one is adequate. And the only ones that are selected to do this are these 2. So these are the only 2 guys that if there's a mining job, they're going to go get their picks and they're going to go start mining. No one else will do that. Now, there's a couple other buttons here you're going to notice. This green hammer with the lock icon, okay? Notice how it's unlocked. What this means is these dwarves, if there's no mining jobs, they'll go do other stuff, okay? But if I click on one of these and make it red and notice the lock is now locked, this guy is only going to do mining jobs. And if there are no mining jobs, he'll just idle. He might relax, he might sleep, he might go get some drinks at the tavern, whatever it may be. But he's not going to do any other job that we set up other than mining. Okay. For now, leave it green. Okay. And it's nice to have 2. It just makes everything kind of the beginning stage of setting up your fortress a little bit quicker. Now, if I set it to nobody, then nobody will do it. And if I set it to everybody, then anybody who can will go do it. Okay, so this is really where you manage sort of who does what. Woodcutter, same thing. I have 1 competent woodcutter, and they're the only one who is selected to do this, but they're also selected to do other jobs as needed if there's no wood cutting. But you will see one of them go start cutting some of the wood. Hunters, I don't have any set up, and I'm going to go ahead and click nobody, just so nobody goes and does some hunting sort of without my authorization. I'm just going to leave it like that. Planters, these are guys who start planting some of the seeds in the ground. I'm going to set that up really soon, and by default it's set to everybody does this. So when you set up a farm plot, everyone's going to go plant. I'm going to change that and just set it to these 2 guys. I don't want everybody doing it. Okay, so I'm going to check these 2 and hit only the selected are going to do it. So that way everyone else is freed up to do all the other things that need to happen early on in your fortress. Fisher dwarves, I do have 1 set, but I'm going to set nobody to do this and just uncheck them just to make sure, because it's just not something I need to do. And in fact, looks like on my mini map there's only 1 lake over here, so we're just going to avoid that overall. Plant gathering, everybody does it. That's fine. Everything else is kind of set up by default. I'm just going to leave it how it is. Okay, those are the main couple of jobs early on that you really want to focus on. Again, you don't have to do it the way I set it up, but this is the way I like to do it. Okay, so I'm going to close out of that. Again, I'm about to unpause. I want you to see that some people are going to start cutting down trees, or 1 person should. We should have 2 guys mining, and I believe anybody should be coming and grabbing these animals and putting them into pasture. So I'm going to hit unpause by hitting spacebar, and we're going to watch it happen. All right, so we got our horse and our yak getting pulled over. We got some digging going on. And do we have someone cutting down our wood? Yep, right here we have our woodcutter chopping down this. If it's flashing, that means the job is currently being, it's currently active, right? So I paused real quick one more time. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to scroll down, and I'm going to go down 1 level. And you can see this is our ramp. But what I'm going to do here is now I'm just going to mine. I'm just going to mine a straight hallway out here, one level down. Oops. And then I'm going to go, I like always like putting a vent. I don't know why, but I like doing that. And this will be our sort of entryway. So, you know, if it's a trade depot, they can come on in this way with the ramp. And if they want to access our fort, we're going to put a stairwell over here. But I really want to focus on that trade depot here because it's pretty early. You don't need it now, but it is important. They're not going to come till the autumn. We're in spring, so we have all summer to build it. But I'm going to go ahead and just kind of extend this one more time, and then I believe our trade depot is 5 by 5. So I'm going to make a 5 by 5 section here. They're going to mine out, and we're going to put our trade depot there. Over here, down this hallway, what we're going to do is we're going to start setting our stairwell. I don't care if the wagons can get down here. So I'm going to go ahead and put stairs, okay? And I'm going to do 3 by 3. There's no reason why you can't just do 3 by 1 or 1 by 1 or whatever. I just like 3 by 3. So again, the theme of this video and this whole kind of tutorial is do whatever you want, but here's what I do, okay? So I'm going to do 3 by 3. So I clicked and dragged, and I'm not clicking it. What I'm going to do is I'm going to mouse wheel down a couple of levels. I'm going to go maybe like 10 levels. So 3 by 3 by 10. And then click. And what that does is it creates upstairs on the last level and then a bunch of up downstairs. So notice there's like a down kind of 2 sets of stairs here. Okay. And that way people can go up and down through this sort of central mining shaft that we're making. All right. So we're set here. So I'm going to go ahead and unpause, and you're going to watch these guys start digging across. And it looks like we have a sand layer here. White sand is what we see here. You may have something different. It's totally fine. You might have loam. You might have just random soil. You might have different color sand. Totally fine. What's nice is these levels are really easy to mine out because they're just sand or soil or whatever. It's not tough to get through. So it goes relatively quick. What I'm going to do is I'm going to wait till this area gets mined out. And what we're going to do is we're going to place our trade depot. We got a couple more left. There we go. All right, pause. And let's talk about our trade depot. So if you want to build any sort of structures, workshops, whatever, it's going to be in here under the hotkey B. So we're going to click here, and then you'll notice Trade Depot is actually its own section over here. So we're going to click on Trade Depot, and we're going to place it right in this spot by left clicking. Okay, right click to get out. And then we're going to unpause, and you're going to see someone's going to come over here at some point and build this. Here we go. They're bringing the materials in that they need to construct it. Time. And they should start building now. Here we go. So you can see them progress building. They're moving things out of the way. And now it's constructed. Great. We have a trade depot built. Now, if we keep scrolling down, we'll see our shaft, our central shaft here getting built. Okay. Now, what I want to do, we're already at claystone right away. Wow. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do something a little bit different. Normally, you'll have multiple kind of layers of stuff that you can, like a layer that you can plant on. This area down here on elevation 44, we can see is claystone. This is stone. We cannot plant on this without sort of some irrigation and things like that, which we are not prepared to do. So what we're going to do is we're going to set up our level right up here for our farming. So let's see how I want to do this. What I'm going to do is I'm going to build one sort of little access hallway, and I'm probably going to put a door here. And then I'm going to go, let's go 5 by 5 for our first plot. And then what I want to do is I want some stockpiles. I want right next to our farms, I want to make sure we have a stockpile for seeds and a stockpile for the plants that we harvest. So I'm going to build another doorway here. Let's build a little section over here for a couple of stockpiles. Okay. And actually what I'm going to do, and this is really important, when you mine, everything is set to the same priority level. But if there's something that you want to mine quicker or do any job quicker than the others or first before the others, what you want to do is click the advanced options over here and you'll see your priority list. Everything by default is set as a job priority of 4. So if I go ahead and click 3 and then kind of reselect all of these jobs, you'll notice the little number next to them now is a 3 instead of a 4. And that means they will do this job before the others. So what you're going to see here is I'm going to go ahead and close out of this, and I'm going to hit play. And you're going to see that instead of mining the rest of this central shaft that they have, all these jobs down here, they're going to finish what they're doing and then quickly come up here and start mining these first. So watch. Here they come. See? Already coming back over here. So now we can set up our stockpiles and our farm first, and then they can go mine the rest of that central shaft, because this is more important to kind of, a little more time sensitive. Let's get it done first. Okay. Let's let them mine out the rest of this, and I'll show you the farming, and we'll probably call it here as a good setup. All right, so they have finished. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to set up a couple stockpiles. So we're going to hit our stockpile button right down here. Add a new stockpile. We're going to select the area first. We're happy with it. Hit accept. And then we're going to pick our stockpile. I'm going to click food, but what I'm going to do here is I'm going to click custom. Now that sets up a food stockpile, but now I get to kind of customize it how I want. And the first thing I'm going to do here is I'm going to click none. Okay. Now this one I want to be seeds only. So I'm going to click seeds, and I'm going to make sure we have all of our seeds are going to go in here. Any seeds we have, this is all the seeds you can possibly have in the world, are going to show up in this stockpile, whatever we got. Okay. Right click to get out of it, and we're good. Okay. Now we're going to do the same thing over here, but this is going to be for our plants that we actually harvest off of our farm. So food, custom, none, and we're going to go to plants and just hit all. So any plant we grow here is going to go here. You could be more specific what plants you want to store here. We're just going to say all of them. Right click, and we're good. You can always double check it. Okay, this is a food stockpile. Click on custom, you can see it's for plants. Okay, so we're good. All right. Now the last thing we're going to do is set up our farm. So it's actually considered a workshop. So we're going to click our workshop button. And then we're going to go over to farming and then farm plot. All right. And we're just going to set up this whole 5x5 grid and then right click out. Now what they're going to do is they're going to start tilling the soil and setting it up. And then once they've tilled the soil, you're going to tell them, all right, what do you want to grow here? And we're going to do that actually on the next episode. Hopefully this tutorial is helping you out, kind of keeping it really simple. We have a few things set up here. So what we learned here is we learned how to chop some wood. You can see the logs are now set up here on the ground. We learned how to dig a ramp down, dig a central staircase, and then set up our farming and our trade depot. We also learned how to pasture our animals actually. And if we look here, we can see our yak over here and our horse over here, and they'll be grazing here. Again, once the snow melts, it'll be a little bit more obvious, but I swear they're going to be fine. And again, DF Hack is one of the things that will let us know, hey, these guys are starving, fix it, which is a nice reminder every once in a while because it is easy to forget. So thanks guys for watching. I really appreciate it. Let me know in the comments if this is something that's helpful to you. And yeah, I'll see you next time. Thanks guys.